Hey guys, Dave Belcher here, and this is unfortunately going to be the last feature blog of Feature Week. So today I want to talk to you about one of the systems that is very dear to my heart, as I've spent a lot of time over the last year working on design for it, working on the technical background needed for it, the special server architecture and everything behind it. So the system I want to talk to you about today is the Dynamic Ecology system. Now this is probably one of our most ambitious sides of the project. And I mean, it has been tried before. I remember Richard Garriott tried it in Ultra Online, and no doubt that system would have worked, but the way they approached it was to drop it in the game without the players actually realising there was a dynamic ecology system in place. And as a result, the players continued their normal raise and burn throughout the whole world way of playing, and wiped out the whole population of the game quite rapidly. So the ecology system didn't even get a time to get to its feet. But even though it didn't work back then, we definitely feel that it's worth putting time into now, because one of the issues we've seen in MMO games, one of the things that has annoyed us, I should say, is that the world is very static, and for a sandbox to be a true sandbox, we feel the whole world should be dynamic. It should be changing, and you should feel like you're part of a living, breathing world. And one part of that is the NPCs, or the mobs, the creatures that live in the world. It just doesn't feel right to be able to know that you can always go over to that one group of trees and always find a pack of wolves there. You can wipe them out, but half an hour later there'll be a full pack of wolves there again. And likewise, it doesn't feel right that you go out and essentially you destroy, obliterate every creature you see, to fill up your bags with stuff to cart back to town and rinse repeat, constantly obliterating the whole of the wildlife population. So the approach we're taking is to make every kill count more. So when you kill a deer, for example, you're going to get a deer's worth of supplies. So a full deer may be too much for you to even drag back to town on your own. You may need to cut some stuff off it, unless you're really strong, you have a sturdy horse to throw it over. But you'll get a good amount of bone, a good amount of leather out of it. Once you've tanned it, you'll get a good amount of meat. So that one kill should set you up for a little while. And to counterbalance that, because it won't be an interesting or fun mechanic if you literally just run out and slaughter like a deer, which will take you 2 minutes, and then have to cart it back to town and rinse repeat. So you're just running back to the spawn to pick up another deer and head back. So this is where the dynamic ecology system comes in, and also our hunting system. So I'll actually touch on that a little bit during this as well, as a bit of a bonus feature. So in order to make the world feel alive, we need to get rid of static spawns. Well, not get rid of, there will still be some static spawns where you have say a group of bears that live in a cave, or a pack of wolves that have set up their home, or along those lines. But generally do away with constant static spawns. I mean, once you clear those bears out of the cave, you want that cave to be empty. And so what we're doing is we're introducing a whole layer above the game, which is the dynamic ecology. And the inspiration for this comes from a game from way back called Sim Life. Some of you may be familiar with it. Essentially you put in all the flora, fauna of the world, then you just hit play, and it would run through, and the creatures would kill each other, they'd eat all the plants and so on. We're not going quite to that level. We obviously want to do something that's feasible, something that will be maintainable. But what we will have is the animals will live in the world, obviously, and they'll have their preferred terrain where they'll live, but they'll move around in herds or in packs, or whatever they are. So essentially each pack or herd will have an alpha or main animal, and that will be essentially it acts like a mobile spawner for that group. So as that creature moves around, the rest of the herd moves with it. Depending on whether it's a herd of animals or a pack of hunting animals, they may behave differently. For example, a pack of wolves may gather at night and move around in a tighter group, but in the day they may spread and go out hunting. So we'll have these packs, they'll move around the land. If the alpha animal is killed, then another animal within the pack takes over that role, and they'll go around their business. And if a pack of wolves is hungry and they're out hunting and they find some deer, they'll kill a deer, they'll eat that deer, and essentially the circle of life will continue. And likewise, as a herd or pack continues to live in the world, if there's enough animals in that herd, they'll produce offspring, so you'll have young animals, which could tie into any potential taming or domestication systems, but that's a completely different topic. So you'll have the young animals, and they will grow up to adulthood, obviously, and that will be the other side of the circle of life. Now, this is definitely one of those systems that the Dynamic Events team will be monitoring. They'll essentially be able to play SimLife EOC version as part of their job. So if they see that a population of animals is getting crazy, so the players aren't keeping it in check and it's about to either destroy the server or just kind of massively overpopulate an area, they can maybe introduce disease or other things to manually maintain a healthy balance in the world. Not enough to stop players feeling the pinch, so if you overhunt an area, they'll let you sweat it out, and they'll let the local predators who no longer have any prey get super hungry, so they start attacking players and start attacking towns. But once it's gone to a certain point where it becomes almost unplayable for the players, then they can step in and kind of help things along. And this will help us maintain the population of the dynamic ecology. And the other thing that helps us maintain the population of the dynamic ecology is simply the fact that the players know that that system is in place. They know they need to be aware of how they're hunting, and if you have a territory that's full of deer, maybe you'll need to protect those deer, so you'll set laws against hunting the king's deer, for example, and put your own systems in place to guard and protect your own livestock, or even to go out on hunts once a year to cull the animals so they don't get too overpopulous. So I mean, that's the basics of the dynamic ecology system, and I mean, like I said before, we have hunting, so to make the actual hunt more interesting, the actual AI of the creatures is going to be a bit more in depth to what you normally see. I mean, you're not going to go running up to a herd of deer and start whacking one. They're going to see you, hear you, smell you, and do a runner if they're a passive creature. Even wolves or other aggressive animals, unless they're protecting their young or protecting their den, they're going to basically stay out of sight of you. So a good hunter in Embers of Caerus will be one who knows how to use the wind, which is the same wind that ties into the shipping system, and approach from downwind, to use their hunting and tracking skills to mask their scent, use their stealth skills, and I don't mean invisibility stealth, but their ability to move quietly through the underbrush to be able to get closer to those creatures, to hopefully get that good broadhead arrow shot into the side of the deer, which will cause it to bleed and slow it down a bit, so you can then pursue it until it's on its last legs, go in and finish it off. So finding the creatures, which ties into a tracking system, which I'm not going to go into right now. Finding the creatures, stalking the creatures, approaching the creatures, getting nice and close, and then picking off one of the weak ones of the pack. That's the whole point of the hunting system in our game, as opposed to just running up and whacking a creature, which makes each kill more interesting and allows us to make each kill more valuable, as I said at the start. So that's in a nutshell the dynamic ecology system, and it sounds like a massive over-ambitious thing, I guess, but a lot of thought has gone into it, and we have an entire server architecture which is specifically designed for handling the dynamic ecology. That will be a completely separate system on the server end, and we're using some clever technology to allow us to do that, and also just the way the system's architected to allow us to handle literally hundreds hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of animals throughout the world in a much more manageable manner. But we think it's a really cool system, and we hope it will bring a lot more of an interesting environment to the game. I mean, like we said, even if the players weren't there, the world should continue its circle of life, and that's what we hope the Dynamic Ecology system will bring. So this was the last of the feature week. We may be able to get together tomorrow to do a director's podcast, so the three of us are going to get together, chat about the Kickstarter, about our plans for after the Kickstarter, answer any questions. If you have any more questions, make sure you post them on the Kickstarter or on our forum, and we'll try and get those answered as well. And then just basically wrap up Kickstarter, because tomorrow is our last full day, not many hours left. And yeah, so thank you everyone who supported us, and hopefully you'll hear from us again soon.